Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Sunday night, August the 24th. Happy regular season. We're not quite there yet. But we're less than 2 weeks away from the Tennessee Titans playing an actual football game. In fact, we are 2 weeks away, just a little less than 2 weeks away from the Tennessee Titans playing an actual football game. It's going to be crazy to get back to regular season football. We got craziness in the world of college football as well this weekend. Week 0 started up in earnest. K-State versus Iowa State in Dublin certainly did deliver, not just football with actual consequences attached to it, but sloppiness and joy and excitement and fighting. Some among parents and siblings of players on the K-State team, if I'm not mistaken. That's also a Sunday fun day we could have used, Robert. They're all coming to me now as we've got the show up and rolling. But either way, we got plenty to work with tonight. And we got the 3 biggest lessons that we learned, or that I learned, from the Titans preseason. We will ask you guys for your primary observations here in just a second. But we got 3 things in particular that I wanted to highlight coming off of a 2-1 record in the preseason, and some things that we liked, some things that we didn't like. This is always the case. But finally, we get ready for the regular season. We're almost there. Somebody, Vols times 8 operating with extreme levels of pessimism, saying 2 weeks until our first loss. I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, you're not going to be favored in that game, but I don't know what you want. You play the football games and you see where these things go. And I'm not going to say that I would pick them. God knows I wouldn't pick them to win at Denver, but I wouldn't be too prematurely miserable. And if the Broncos make you miserable, then you can be miserable. But why would you want to live for 2 weeks like that? And that's coming from me, who's, not exactly the brightest ray of sunshine on a regular basis. If that's how you want to operate, you're welcome to do so, though. The amount of you already asking about Restrepo, how do I even go about this? Do I just ignore them? Do I just not even acknowledge that the commentary exists because a player that's not going to be on this roster in 2 weeks? Like, what do I do here? Because I'm tired of talking about him, Robert, because every time I talk about him, I feel like it comes off like we're digging at him, even though people are just asking questions about this player to such an extent that we have no choice but to talk about him. Or can I just ignore it?
I don't think you should ignore it. I think we should. I don't know. What's some stupid shit you could do with it? I think anytime somebody says it, you should just go like, where's the comment? Where's the comment?
Take a drink. Take a drink out of my Defiance Fuel. I wish I had an actual cocktail. I'd be shit-faced if we were doing that.
Being like, oh, hey, is Restrepo? Oh, no, he's going to be on the practice squad. And then just move on very quickly. Oh, Restrepo? Yes, he will probably be on the practice squad. Thank you. And continue going. And just make it like a quick little yep thing.
just completely, pause in the middle of whatever we're talking about. Yeah, Restrepo practice squad, and then back to the thing.
Yeah. Let me stop exactly what I was doing just to get to you. Ignore the Restrepo comments. No, I'll have to let you know he's probably going to be on the practice squad. Thank you, Vol ZX8.
Vols times 8. All right, let's go again. Is that a backdrop, or did Robert have a major residential upgrade? I don't know. You want to show people your backdrop and let them decide if it's real or not? Is there a baby grand piano in the background? Wait, let me get out of here. Is there?
Oh, you'd have to drop the very yes. There is a piano over here, which on this side actually, which I can play. I'll play a couple notes for you. That's for you guys. Yeah, and this couch. New couches, new fireplace. I never know what the side. If you look through this little window right here. No, wait. Get the hell out of here, dude. We're looking at my house. If you look at this window, you'll see that's a workroom. But I really just came in here to flex. All right, what do you want?
Somebody said go smell the pine cones. Get out of here. Go sniff some pine cones, and I'll.
Wait, damn it! What side? What the hell side of my pine cone? Oh,
they're directly behind you. Oh goodness, yes, Robert and his fake pine cones and his fake baby grand piano. Anyway, let's start the show. Let's talk about what the preseason has taught us or what we think we learned from the preseason. Maybe we can even dive into the things that we think are preseason lies as well. Welcome in A to Z Sports Prime Time, not from Robert Walsh's palatial estate, but from the palatial Rising estate here on this Sunday, August the 24th. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud as always to be presented to you by the wonderful people at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford is where you go for the South's most trusted Ford dealer, online at tworiversford.com, just 7 miles east of Nashville International Airport. By TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, your first workout is free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout ever recycled or repeated at TrueMapFitness.com. So, 2 wins in the preseason, 1 loss. Does that mean anything? Probably not. You were undefeated in the preseason last year, and then you proceeded to win just as many games in the regular season as you did in the preseason, which was a total of 3. Now, there are situations that you can put these players in that you can learn things about whether these players are prepared for certain kinds of moments at a very, very baseline, vanilla level. Just baseline fundamental operation is what you can learn about the preseason, where you're playing 10 snaps here or 14 snaps there, depending on which players you're talking about. You're working with different pieces and parts. You're going to throw Cam Ward out there with backup offensive linemen in the third game, but you're going to try and give him as many of his starters in the first game as humanly possible to try and get his comfort level up. So things that we learned from the preseason, I've got the 3 biggest lessons that I took away, and that is then the Two Rivers Ford Take question for you guys on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. What was the biggest thing you learned about the Titans in the preseason? It can be Cam Ward. It can be, anything regarding the coaching staff. You're welcome to make observations there. If you're somebody who's hyper-fixated on the defense, because the defense is probably going to cause you some problems this year and you're a little worried about it, did you see things that you were pleasantly surprised by, or did you see things that were confirmation bias about what you already felt about the Titans defense going in? Special teams, obviously, a huge part of the preseason, a huge course correction that this team needs to make year over year, going from Colt Anderson and the disaster that was to now Bones Fossil and everything that he's going to try and correct. What was your single biggest, just give me one and I'll give you 3 here in just a second, your single biggest takeaway about the Titans, about your football team in the preseason? It's your Two Rivers Ford Take. It's made possible by the aforementioned South's most trusted Ford dealer. It's Two Rivers Ford. Quality American-made Ford vehicles and award-winning customer service are what is on offer. I don't think that was grammatically correct either way. Two Rivers Ford is there to serve you as they've served people in Middle Tennessee for over 4 decades. I was just out there. Oh, we got a jersey giveaway. We're doing a jersey giveaway with Two Rivers Ford. Go right now to I think I left the actual physical jersey in my car. But if you go right now to A to Z Sports' Instagram or Two Rivers Ford's Instagram, you will see that we, in conjunction with Two Rivers Ford, are giving away, oh, the background is blurred. I don't know how to make that pop up in a way that you all can see it. But we are giving away a Cam Ward jersey on Instagram. If you would like, courtesy of Two Rivers Ford, you go to A to Z Sports' Instagram or Two Rivers Ford's Instagram. You follow Two Rivers on Insta, A to Z, and me. You like the individual post. You reply with that crossed swords emoji in the comment section for your opportunity to win this Cam Ward jersey. It's the home Columbia blue Cam Ward jersey. We will order it custom for your size. Obviously, we had an XL out at Two Rivers to take the actual picture with the Ford Bronco, which is, they thirst trap me with these Broncos every time I'm out there. But yeah, go to Instagram, follow Two Rivers, A to Z, and me. Reply with the crossed swords emoji in the comment section. Bonus points if you repost it to your Instagram story for the opportunity to win those things. Jaden is doing it in the comment section on YouTube. Yes, that is the emoji that you will use, but that does not count as a submission, Jaden. You have to go to Instagram and follow the prompts, and we will make sure that we pick a winner tomorrow. We're going to pick a winner tomorrow for the Cam Ward Columbia Blue Home Titans jersey. All right, very good. Shout out to Rivers Ford for making that possible. What did you learn? What was the biggest takeaway that you had from the Titans in the preseason? What did you see that you liked, that you didn't like? What was your biggest takeaway? Let's see. The Titans are not ready to contend for the division, says Rookie 18. Top 5 pick incoming. Well, I don't think you needed the preseason to tell you that. I think that they are better equipped to be competitive in the division, but no, nobody's certainly. I mean, did you expect them to be? Or is that something that you thought going in and that was reaffirmed by what you saw in the preseason? Again, whatever your takeaway was, you're allowed to have that takeaway. But I'm curious to know if that's something that you thought going in, you then watched 3 preseason games, and that was the conclusion that you ended up drawing. Or did you draw that conclusion after, like maybe you thought they were going to be able to contend for the AFC South with a new quarterback? And I suppose that, like I said, it's your opinion, so I can't tell you that your opinion is outright wrong. But it seems a bit ridiculous given how far away we knew this team to be coming off of this season, and that a lot of the parts and pieces are the same, even if they look to be improved. And you are looking for incremental improvements. Is that something that you specifically learned from the preseason? And I also don't think that you can draw such. I mean, like I said, you can draw that conclusion, but I think that what is to determine a top 5 pick incoming based on what you saw in the preseason, where the quarterback's playing 10 to 12 snaps, 14 snaps, I think is the most offensive work that he got in any individual preseason game. Your opinion as you like, but I just Rookie says I thought they would look a lot better, more crisp. Okay, well, I mean, I can't tell you what you should have thought, or I can't tell you what you should have thought. More crisp. They looked. There was more offensive efficiency in 3 preseason games than I saw in 17 regular season games last year. I'm not sure what the degree of improvement you were looking for was going to be. And they're going to look worse than that. Like, now, that doesn't mean that you can't be competitive, because the quarterback's going to give you an opportunity to win some of these games. He's going to give you an opportunity to keep it close rather than you just get your ass kicked. But I guess I'm not sure where you pull, like, what more crisp in terms of what. Because the operation, there was nothing to indicate, at least on the offensive side of the ball, or nothing to indicate that the operation wasn't solid. And solid's really all you can ask for in the sample size that we have. But like I said, your opinion, you're welcome to it. Let's see. Expecting anything in preseason is futile. No, I don't think that's true, Jack. Like, most of the shit doesn't matter. You are correct. Most of this shit does not matter in the 3 exhibition games that we play. But there are things that you can learn. And one of the things that the Titans head coach said that he felt comfortable about, having seen Cam Ward in 3 preseason games, was specific to the way that he operates, something that the previous commenter mentioned and is being considered a plus by the head coach, who is breaking in this rookie quarterback.
What have you seen that you like from Cam Ward?
I think his command's been outstanding. You know, he doesn't get rattled. He fights through. You know, we've had some long down and distances. He's made some plays. He's made some really nice throws. There's just a confidence in his demeanor that I have when he's in there that this is, you know, none of it's too big for him, and he really operates calmly and finds completions, and those are the things that we've worked on over training camp. He's going to be able to make the big plays. You know, that's what he does, and he's going to be able to move around more when I don't have the governor on him to don't take any hits. But I think all of that stuff has been really positive. He's done well in his limited showing, and I feel confident with where he's at.
Is there any area just going into week 1 with Cam, is there any area where you'd like to see a little more growth or anything out of him?
You know, based on what he handled in the preseason, you know, nothing that jumps out. There's certainly more growth to be had. I mean, he's not a, you know, I think I've said before, but he's not a finished product. I mean, he's going to learn a lot here coming up. There's going to be things he hasn't seen yet. You know, it's preseason, so you're looking at some relatively vanilla things. Although we did get a little bit of zero tonight, which was good to see. But pretty vanilla, pretty standard looks, and for him, he did what we asked him to do, and there's going to be a lot of learning here coming up over the next 17 weeks.
So that is Brian Callahan. That was Friday night after the game, talking about what he likes about working with Cam Ward so far. He brings up the command and the kind of things that they're asking him to do versus what we will see in the regular season. Brian Johnson says, did he say vanilla? Yeah, I mean, that's what preseason is. You're not being schemed. They're not throwing exotic blitzes at you. They're not showing you simulated pressures. They're not trying to play games up front in terms of stunts and twists on the defensive line. It's vanilla what he's facing. And also the offense is vanilla in preseason. They're not running schemed offense. They haven't game planned for a preseason game. Like, they're not game planning specifically. All right, what are our man or zone beating concepts that we are going to apply to this specific game? Because that's not what they're asking to do. They're going to run some basic football plays. Everybody's running vanilla football plays at this point in time, because you're not going to give away anything on tape that your week one opponent would be able to point to and say, oh, that's what the Titans offense is going to be. I think that they're, so yeah, I mean, vanilla is pretty solid, or a pretty adept way to describe what the preseason is. There's nothing highly conceptualized. Now, you could also say, well, if they struggled in the preseason against stuff that's not schemed specifically to stop them, then is that telling for the regular season? Yeah, that's going to be tough for them in the regular season. Their schedule is it's not the hardest in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination. But let me just pull up their first 6 weeks again. After they go to Denver on the road, home for the LA Rams, and we'll see what happens with Matt Stafford. It sounds like he's going to be healthy for the regular season, but he's dealing with back spasms and he's an older player. So that's a problem. So road Broncos, home Rams, home Colts. Then you are at the Texans, at the Cardinals, at the Raiders. These are 6 games and only 2 at home over that period of time that you are going to struggle in. I mean, and can they struggle while still competing? Can they compete at a higher level? Can they put themselves in the opportunity or in the position to try and win a one-score game? Can they actually pull off the win? Can they finish? These are things that we're going to learn about them in the first 6 weeks. Now, could they go 2-4? Probably. Could they do worse than 2-4? Likely. They're not going to be favored in a single game. Ooh, I don't know if they would be favored in that Colts game. I would be surprised if they were. I suppose that depends on, this is obviously ahead. That's week 3. But if you look at the Titans' schedule, I would not think that they would be favored. The Colts game would be the only game that they might be favored in, and I bet it's not a full 3 points. Like, I bet it's Titans -1.5 or something like that. Again, depending on how they look in the first 2 games of the season, depending on what happens with Indianapolis in the first 2 games of the season, because they are now starting Daniel Jones. That's not necessarily a recipe for success historically. But I would be surprised if they are favored in a single game other than that. So if they win the game that they're favored in, but they lose the other 5, does that mean that they're a bad football team? Do they cover in these situations? Are they at least in the game throughout the entirety of the 4 quarters in ways that last year that they were not? And I understand that's a low bar, and I understand you want to win right now. And I see people bringing up the idea of well, they've been building for years. What do you mean it's still a rebuild? Yeah, but you are poorly run as a football organization. So every time you hit the reset button, reset, Mike Vrabel, John Robinson, Rand Carthon, yeah, that restarts the rebuild. So this is technically the first year of your rebuild, as far as I'm concerned. Even though you spent three seasons at this point, maybe 3.5, circling the drain because your owner can't commit to what she actually wants her football program to be. So now you are in year 1, as far as I'm concerned. You are in year 1 of a rebuild at this point in time. And as you move forward in all of these things, that's the way that I'm going to judge it. You don't have to judge it that way, but I'm telling you the way that I'm going to view it, because they've left me no choice other than to consume Titans football this way, and also to not trust them to stick to the plan throughout the course of this year, though we'll wait to see whether they prove otherwise, whether they do better this time around, and whether they can actually operate with a degree of patience that is required for getting this thing right around the quarterback, who you don't want to press more than absolutely necessary. So I think when you talk about the things that we learned in the preseason, Cam Ward's command is one. The second thing that I would cite is that your corner depth is horrendous. and that your special teams is, I think, still a bit suspect. Those are the two other observations that I would take away, at least top of line, overarching themes. Corner depth, they need Snead back out there badly. Even if Snead is not, the best corner in the history of football, Snead will make a difference based on the kind of guys that they're playing, like the Awarie 31 out there wearing Kevin Byard's jersey, but playing like anything but Kevin Byard at this point in time. I would expect that he would be gone, but you're on a football team that has very little depth. Darrell Baker Jr., I think you got a good season out of him last year. I'm not relying on Darrell Baker Jr. to be a high-level starting outside quarterback or even a league average starting outside quarterback this year if called upon. McCreary's good. McCreary is good to above average depending on the game. Brownlee, I think he's got a lot of upside right now, but I'm gonna reserve judgment. Like Jarvis Brownlee has to play at a reasonably high level year over year for me to finally go and say, all right, I believe that is a good football player, a core foundational piece to this team, because he is a 5th round pick for a reason, and there are some limitations there, and he's working very hard to clean up the penalty stuff that puts them in bad positions, though he did suplex a dude, which was a dipshit move, and he knows that. Brian Callahan talked about that after the game, that set the Vikings up for their first points of the game, if I'm not mistaken, that field goal that they were able to kick. So he's got to be more disciplined that way. But I'm encouraged by Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I'm not like Roger McCreary. I know to be a good player. Jarvis Brownlee, I'm gonna give it a little more time before I say anything declarative about that. And I don't think that's wrong, or I don't think that's too harsh for anybody to feel that way. But at least for me in particular, guy really just got here last year, thrown into the fire, understanding the circumstances were poor, understanding he's not going to have a good pass rush in front of him this year, to continue to give him a little extra help the way that a better football team might be able to do. Their pass rush is bad. The pass rush is going to be bad. I'm not going to gaslight you guys about Femi Oladejo in year one. I think that's going to be a learning curve. I think that Draymond Jones and Arden Key and Jihad Ward are your 3 best edge rushers right now, and that's not an overwhelmingly great place to exist. Obviously, Jeff is the best pass rusher on the football team, but he can't do it alone, and they're going to have to find ways to scheme him up to be more impactful this season, as opposed to these guys just outright winning. That's going to be not great. So cornerback depth, not good. Cam Ward's command, a positive. Offensive line, I feel good about. I feel cautiously optimistic about, and I haven't been able to say that, I think, for 5 years, honest to God, at this point in time. But yeah, I'd say as an addendum to the 3, because those are my 3, the special teams, like Sly made the longest field goal in Titans history on Friday night, 63 yards. But I don't know. Can I trust him to hit extra points routinely? Can I trust him to make a field goal inside of 30 with regularity? I know that he's got a power leg because he's a kicker that's built like he should win every bar fight ever in the history of man. He's jacked. But does that allow for consistency that way? Maybe they're banking on the upside of the distance that he brings, because that 63-yarder had room to go. Like, that could have been good from 70. As far, maybe not 70, but let's say 65. It would have been good from 65. I don't know. I mean, I know what they value. They value what Joey Sly brings to the table, because there's never been another kicker in competition with Joey Sly at all. They said, all right, Nick Folk out, Joey Sly in. That's our kicker. Let's ride. We'll see what dividends it brings back. The returner situation, did Prochet play a snap on Friday night? I don't believe so. Or at least not a special teams, not a return snap on Friday night. I don't believe so. He did not return a kick, certainly, because they were working Jaquan Jackson. They were working Chimere Dike. I think that James Prochet is going to be on this football team. Also, Johnny Hecker has not been as advertised, the punter. we'll see if that's something that, can continue to grow and develop and can improve, because I looked a lot. I wanted to see a lot more from him. Corey D. Jackson says he did. He got blasted on a return or on a pass. I know he caught a pass and he got his ass lit up because he was throwing a hospital ball. Yeah, I'm not talking about offensive snaps. I'm talking about special teams snaps specifically. Benjamin says Prochet is the reason Restrepo's not even considered. No, Restrepo's he's going to be on the practice squad. All right, let's move on. Restrepo is not the reason. Prochet has nothing to do with Restrepo. The reason that Restrepo is not being considered is because Restrepo is Restrepo. Like he's just not a physically talented enough football player to make a difference there. Likely practice squad if they can sneak him through. All right. So with everything that we've got going on right now, those are the three biggest takeaways that I had from the Titans in the offseason. There may be others that come to mind. There may be a few other things we didn't talk about. Alec Iamaner, who I continue to be impressed with, almost had a touchdown reception from Cam Ward on Friday night. No touchdown passes for Cam Ward in the preseason. 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 scoring drives, 7 total offensive series, 2 of which they were able to come away with touchdowns on. One a chestnut touchdown run from the 1-yard line on Friday night, and then Tony Pollard a couple of weeks ago in Tampa Bay. So 2 touchdown drives out of 7 offensive series that Cam Ward was the starting quarterback for. Brandon Tyler with an off-topic question says, why don't we use the tush push like every other team does? Any team, including last year, we refused to do it anytime we needed a yard, and we've shown we don't do it in the preseason. Yeah, you don't have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. Like there's really 2 teams that do it. It's the Bills because they have a unicorn at quarterback, and it's the Eagles because they have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. That you wouldn't be good at it. You would get your ass up. Cam's not much bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? Like, how much does Cam Ward weigh? Out of curiosity, let's see. Cam Ward height weight. 6'2", 218. So we're about the exact same size. 6'2", 218. I may be anywhere between 215 or 218, depending on the day. I did have a pizza today, so I'm probably a little heavier than I'd otherwise like to be. But like, yeah, he's not a superhuman as far as his strength, the way that Josh Allen is, not just strength-wise but size-wise, and the way that Jalen Hurts is from a physical strength standpoint. That's not he's not going to have success doing that. Also, why on earth would you want to do that with a center that's coming off an Achilles tear? Like, I know that there's not a proven rate or a higher rate of injury on tush-push plays. That was something that was being argued by the Eagles and Jason Kelsey, who was a part of the voting on that during spring meetings in May. I think it was in Pittsburgh that they ultimately decided to keep the tush-push. So there's not allegedly a higher rate of injury, but like, I don't want people piling on top of Lloyd Cushenberry that way when he's coming off a torn Achilles and you're just getting him back. Like, it's not, you don't have the personnel. Most teams don't have the personnel, but that play is very specific to them for a reason, because they've designed or they've put themselves in a position where their offense is very uniquely equipped to be able to do that. They have the best offensive line in football. You would be lucky to break the top 20 this year. And listen, you're working towards that, and that's all well and good, but the tush push it's not for everybody. If it was for everybody, everybody would do it. Anyway, I think that there are a couple of people are alleging that Cam is heavier than that. He does have a bit of a belly, not a belly, just like he's a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are plenty of people who come in with a little bit of baby weight or baby fat, for lack of a better term. And yeah, I mean, Cam, I'm sure after a year in an NFL strength and conditioning program will look more physically impressive than listen, he's more physically impressive than the vast majority of us, the normies out here. So I wouldn't be too critical of that, depending on what you look like. Since I'm sure if you're thinking that Cam has a bit of a belly, I imagine that you probably do too. It's like calling Mahomes' physique a dad bod, understanding that he's probably more in shape than 99% of the population on any given day. Anyway, Sunday Fun Day. I don't want to talk about the quarterback's tummy. Whose stock rose? Or no. Sunday Fun Day was the best thing that you saw on the internet this weekend. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch is how you get involved. Bork, with as good a tease as I could possibly do. He says, is there a gym that Cam should try? Well, if he wanted to improve his physical fitness, Bork, of course, he could go to TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, well done by you, where he can even get his first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. He is now a Middle Tennessee resident, so he does qualify. TrueMapFitness.com is where you go. Quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service on offer. Go to TrueMap Fitness in the Gulch, TrueMapFitness.com for more details, personal training. I was back on Friday. I had a great time. It was so good to be able to get an actual workout in as opposed to being in a hotel gym. That is a terrible existence. I love TrueMap Fitness, but they did give me the tools to succeed on the road, so I wasn't completely out of shape by the time that I got back into TrueMap, TrueMapFitness.com for more details. Your Twitter comments, B. French says, let's see. He says that the Twitter comments, your Twitter had more comments about a green dildo than it did about Cam. Well, yeah, that was more interesting in the preseason. Somebody threw a green dildo on the field. And Nissan, I think it's the first time it's happened in an NFL game. It's almost been exclusively, I think it's been exclusively WNBA. And that may well be the Sunday Fun Day, the fact that somebody launched a sex toy from on high. It definitely came from above the press box. The press box sits, so there's the lower bowl at Nissan Stadium, and then there's the press box, and then there's club level, and then there's the 300, right? So that either came from club or from the 300 at this point in time. And I saw it. It was almost, I wouldn't say it was a little bit to the right of above me, but it was definitely towards the end zone that I sit closest to in the press box, which is the south end zone. I would say that the dildo landed at about the 10-yard line, and thank God that something of interest happened in that fourth quarter of the Titans game, because I was falling asleep in the press box waiting for the Trevor Siemian experience to conclude. So I think that there, Carrie B says, did Buck just say that a sex toy came from above? Yeah, it was like an angelic figure, a giant penis hurling through the skies onto the field at Nissan Stadium. And so people are asking specifically about the color of it. Apparently if you read the story in The Athletic, it's actually crazy. There's a Bitcoin associated with the green dildo. I think it's straight up called green dildo coin. That people are executing these stunts as a means to drive up the price point on the green dildo Bitcoin. It's crazy. Like The Athletic did a whole deep dive into speaking to some of the people who are on these subreddits and things like that created the green dildo coin, who are betting or hedging the bets or driving up the value of the coin, of the Bitcoin, based on the appearances of the green dildo. It's crazy. We are in a bizarro. We are living in a simulation. But that's apparently a real thing. So apparently, if you own green dildo coin, your stock price went up, or your Bitcoin price went up, because it's not technically a stock. But your price point went up on your Bitcoin because somebody launched a green dildo from on high onto the field at Nissan Stadium. What a time to be alive. Benjamin said, I'm telling you, go read the story. It's from a couple of weeks ago. I literally sent it to Tehran and PK in the press box the other day, because it's like, you guys don't understand. This is a thing. It's happening. Major Key says, I heard someone picked it up barehanded. I don't know if that poor security guard had to pick that up off the field. And I was too busy trying to get a video of it, and two, laughing out loud at the idea that somebody, one, would sneak a green dildo into Nissan Stadium, would then throw the dildo onto the field during a preseason game, and that some poor bastard would have to pick it up after the fact. That's tough. But anyway, best thing that I saw on the internet this weekend is Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is a fountain of content. God bless him. And Jerry Jones did an interview on the Stephen A. Smith show that had one of the funniest quotes I've ever heard.
In the spirit of not doing the old mother-dad deal, how many times have you seen the little rascal so clever go in there and mama told him, you're not going to get it, and goes in to daddy, who only sees him after 5 in the afternoon, wants to love him, and says, you can have it, son. You can have that before dinner. And he goes back in and says, Mama, Daddy said I could have it. That's the old mom, dad, been around since the beginning of time. I'm not going to go for that here. That's what's happening.
You're not going for it?
I'm not going for it. No. But we've had a very, very strong negotiation. Now, by the way, frankly, it wouldn't have made any difference what the negotiation was. Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work?
Micah.
And who else?
You.
Hello. There's not room for a third. There's not room for a third. This will be a good one.
The old mother-son negotiation. Mom said mom. So I guess Jerry is mom in this scenario. We were trying to work through this yesterday when we were doing the Fox Sports radio show. Because our producer for the Fox show, Ian, and they produced that show out of LA, he had a bunch of audio ready for me, and I hadn't heard this one for the first time. So he played this for me while we were live on the air. And then he's like, we were trying to figure out who the hell is mom and who's the son and who's dad in this scenario. So I guess Jerry is technically mom telling the child, Micah, no, you can't have your dessert before you eat your vegetables. And then I guess in this scenario, the agent is dad being like, yeah, son, you can have your dessert. Go ahead and do your thing, whatever you want. You're my favorite boy type of situation. So I guess Jerry is the maternal figure in this particular situation. The dad is the agent, who is David Mulligetta, by the way. That is not an agent to be trifled with. And for as much shit as I give the Cleveland Browns, we're giving Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract a couple of years ago. David Mulligetta was the one who got that deal done, who essentially broke NFL ownership for a period of time because he got the Cleveland Browns to do a fully guaranteed contract for a documented pervert in this situation. So Mulligetta, and he's got several high-profile clients this way. The man is not a fool, certainly. And Jerry is trifling with him. And maybe he's trifling with Jerry Jones a little bit. Jerry's also the most powerful owner in the NFL. So that's no small thing when you talk about who is going against whom in this particular situation. But damn, I can't even begin to imagine how annoying this all must be if you're a Cowboys fan. All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Radio show tomorrow, 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. We got a bunch of things going on the radio show tomorrow, don't we, Robert? Don't we have a handful of things going on? We've got Holly Rowe on the radio show, the excellent sideline reporter for ESPN to get us ready for the college football week, the big week of college football that is ahead for us. Obviously, we had week 0, but this week it ramps up in earnest. Ben Jones is going to be on the radio show. So we'll have Holly Rowe, we'll have Ben Jones, we'll do stock up, stock down coming out of the preseason, and we'll look forward to having you with us on 104.5 The Zone from 10 to 1 with Lucas, with Robert, with me, with Ben, with Holly Rowe, and everybody else that's going to be hanging out with us. Thank you guys for hanging out. Leave a like on the video on the way out the door. We do appreciate your participation that way, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday night.
There's a very low percentage of this